You know, it really is amazing how much our cars do these days.
It is, isn't it?
All the beeps and buzzes kind of looking out for us. But what about when the engine's off?
Ah, yeah. That's actually a really important area.
Exactly. So today, let's do a deep dive into something specific. Rear occupant alert systems.
Right. We've been digging into a recent report on the global market for these ROAS, that's the term we'll use.
Oh, ROAS.
I got it.
And these are the systems designed to basically prevent kids or pets being left behind in a vehicle. A reminder system.
Yeah, a crucial reminder. And look, if you're trying to stay updated but don't want to get bogged down in like dense reports,
Which can be overwhelming.
totally. So think of this as, your shortcut, a way to quickly grasp what's happening in this really fast-growing part of car safety.
So our goal, our mission today, is really to pull out the key takeaways, the most important bits, maybe some surprising facts about the ROAS market right now and where it's heading globally. And we know understanding a market like this involves looking at it from different angles, right? Various sources, different perspectives.
Absolutely. You can't just look at one number.
Mhm.
You need the regional breakdown, the tech details, the drivers.
Okay, so let's dive into those numbers then, because the growth projections alone are quite something.
They really are. So for 2025, a global market size for ROAS is expected to be around USD 2.14 billion.
2.14 billion. Okay, that's already substantial.
But here's the kicker. By 2033, that number is forecast to jump significantly. We're talking USD 6.92 billion.
Wow. Okay, that's a huge leap, nearly 7 billion.
It is. And what that translates to is a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of 15.8% between 2025 and 2033.
15.8% CAGR. That's really strong, sustained growth.
It really shows the momentum. And it's worth mentioning, the base year for this is 2024, so it's pretty current data, looking back historically to 2021 and forecasting out to 2033.
Right, so a solid foundation for those projections. 15.8%. Impressive. Okay, so where is this growth happening? Is it evenly spread, or are some regions leading?
Definitely not evenly spread. North America is currently the biggest player.
Okay, how big?
They hold over 40% of the global market right now. For 2025, that's projected at USD 791.80 million.
Almost 800 million. And their growth rate?
Their CAGR is strong too, 14.2% through 2033.
And within North America, the U.S. presumably.
Yeah, the U.S. makes up the largest chunk, about 625 million with a 14% CAGR. But Canada's significant too, around 95 million, actually a slightly higher CAGR at 15%, and Mexico about 72 million, growing at 14.7%.
And what's driving it there? Is it just tech adoption?
It's a few things. Definitely high consumer awareness, partly driven by, well, some tragic high-profile incidents, unfortunately.
Right, that raises the profile.
It does. Plus, there's just a strong appetite for new vehicle tech in North America, and advancements are happening quickly.
Okay, makes sense. What about Europe? How do they compare?
Europe's another really big market. They account for over 30% of the share globally.
So between North America and Europe, that's almost 3/4 of the market.
Pretty much, yeah. For Europe, the 2025 estimate is around USD 620.6 million. And their growth is solid, too, a CAGR of 14.8%.
Similar growth rate to North America, then.
Very similar. And within Europe, you've got key players like the UK over 104 million, 15.6% TDR. Germany's even bigger, at 123 million, 15% TGR. France, around 57 million at 14%.
So the big auto markets are leading.
Yes, but it's broad-based. Russia's significant, Italy, Spain, even smaller countries show strong growth, like Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, Luxembourg. The rest of Europe category is substantial too.
Interesting. So it's quite widespread across the continent. What are the main drivers in Europe? Similar to North America.
Largely similar, yes.
Yeah.
You've got that growing awareness factor again. Rising disposable income helps people can opt for higher trim levels with these features.
Right.
But also, regulations are a key factor in the EU. Yeah. There's a regulatory push encouraging, sometimes even mandating these kinds of safety systems.
Ah, okay. Regulation can be a powerful driver.
Definitely. And of course, the tech itself keeps improving, making it more appealing.
Okay, so North America and Europe are the current giants. Let's shift over to Asia Pacific. I'm guessing there's a lot happening there.
Oh, absolutely. APAC is really dynamic. They hold about 23% of the market share now, so around 513.6 million USD in 2025.
Still a big piece.
A very big piece. But the really eye-catching number for APAC is the growth rate. The projected TAGR is 18.7%.
18.7, wow. That's higher than North America or Europe.
By a significant margin, yes. It's the highest regional CAGR.
Okay. And who's leading the charge in APAC? China?
China's the biggest market by far, at
No.
216 million with an 18.2% CAGR. But Japan and South Korea are also major contributors, both with KGRs over 17%.
Right, established auto markets.
Exactly. But then you look at India, their projected CAGR is 20.6%.
Over 20%. That's incredible growth. Fastest you've mentioned so far.
It is. India's growth is projected to be the fastest globally in this segment. Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, they're all showing really strong growth too, generally in the 18–19% CAGR range.
So what's fueling this boom across APAC, especially that explosive growth in India and Southeast Asia?
Well, it's a combination of factors. Rapid urbanization is one, more people in cities needing transport. Rising disposable incomes across the region is huge.
Right, more purchasing power.
Exactly. So people aren't just buying more cars, they're increasingly able to prioritize and afford safety features. Tech advancements also make these systems maybe more accessible than they were a decade ago.
And just the sheer volume of the car market there.
That's a big part of it too. It's a massive expanding automotive market, and maybe
Oh, yeah.
maybe there's less of an installed base of older vehicles compared to, say, Europe, so new tech gets adopted into the fleet faster. Just a thought.
That's a really interesting point. Less legacy fleet to turn over. Okay, so APAC is definitely the one to watch for rapid expansion. What about the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa? Smaller shares, I assume.
Yeah, smaller shares, but still showing significant growth potential. South America holds over 5% of the market. That's about 81 million USD in 2025, with a solid CGR of 16.5%.
16.5, still very healthy growth. Brazil and Argentina leading there?
Yeah, Brazil and Argentina are the main markets. Then you have the Middle East, around 2% share, maybe 85, 86 million USD in 2025, but a high CGR again, 17.2%.
Higher than South America even.
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
Driven by Saudi Arabia and the UAE mostly. And Africa's smallest, currently about 1% share, maybe 47 million USD in 2025, but still growing well at 16.1% CGR, with South Africa being the key market.
So even in these regions with smaller current market sizes, the growth rates are really quite high, mostly in that 16–17% range.
Exactly. It shows this isn't just a trend confined to the wealthiest nations.
What are the common threads driving growth in South America, the Middle East, and Africa?
Well,
Similar factors again.
pretty much the same themes, yeah. Increasing awareness is a global thing. Potential for future regulations is often discussed. Rising incomes, particularly growth of the middle class in some areas. Expanding automotive sectors overall.
Okay.
And in the Middle East specifically, you also have that factor of high demand for luxury and high-end vehicles, which tend to come loaded with these advanced safety features anyway.
Right, they often get the tech first. It's fascinating seeing the global picture emerge. Okay, let's dig into the systems themselves. What kind of vehicles are getting this tech most?
Right now, passenger vehicles are definitely the dominant segment and also the fastest growing. That makes sense given production volumes and just general consumer demand for safety and family cars.
Sedans, SUVs, hatchbacks.
All of the above, yeah. SUVs are obviously a huge market, but it applies across the board. Interestingly, light commercial vehicles, like vans, are also a fast-growing segment.
Why is that?
Well, think about their use often for transporting goods, but sometimes people too, and the focus on child safety and potentially regulations applies there as well.
Good point. Okay, passenger cars lead, LCVs growing fast. What about the tech inside? The sensors? Is it just a simple door sensor?
Oh no, it's getting much more sophisticated than that. Currently, ultrasonic sensors have the largest market share.
Why ultrasonic?
Mostly cost. They're relatively inexpensive to implement.
Okay. But maybe not the most advanced.
Well, radar sensors are expanding really rapidly. They offer advantages like longer detection range, and importantly, they work well regardless of weather or lighting conditions.
Ah, okay. Reliability in different conditions. That's key.
Definitely. And then you have camera sensors. They're expected to grab more market share too.
Cameras for seeing if someone's back there.
Exactly. The ability to visually confirm, potentially even identify an occupant, adds another layer of intelligence.
So it's a mix, really. Ultrasonic for cost, radar for range and weather, cameras for visual confirmation. Sounds like manufacturers might even combine them.
That's happening more and more. It's called sensor fusion, using data from multiple sensor types, radar, camera, maybe others, to get a much more accurate and reliable picture of what's happening in the back seat.
Sensor fusion. Okay. So looking at the overall system types, which approach is leading?
Well, if you look at the technology outlook, camera-based systems actually hold the largest market share currently. That suggests the market values their effectiveness and dependability.
despite maybe being more complex or costly than basic ultrasonic?
Apparently so. But motion detection is also a really rapidly growing area. That's obviously crucial for detecting a child or pet left behind, especially in hot car scenarios.
Motion detection makes immediate sense for this application.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also have systems using what's called rear door logic.
Rear bore logic.
Yeah, it's simpler in a way. The system basically notes if a rear door was opened before or during a trip. Then, if that same door isn't open again after the trip when the driver gets out, it triggers an alert, kind of indirect check.
Clever. Using the door status as a proxy, so multiple approaches. Cameras, motion sensors, door logic.
Right, often working together.
And how do these get into cars? Are they mostly factory installed, or can people add them later?
Both, actually. Right now, the OEM channel original equipment manufacturers, the car makers themselves, holds the largest share.
So built in from the start.
Exactly. They're integrating ROAS directly, often using those more sophisticated sensors and sensor fusion we talked about. It's becoming part of the standard or optional safety package on many new models.
But what if you have an older car?
That's where the aftermarket comes in. And it's a rapidly growing sector, too.
Ah, okay,
Yeah.
so you can buy a system and have it installed.
Precisely.
Yeah.
As awareness grows, people want this safety feature even if their current car didn't come with it. Aftermarket options are often cheaper and easier to install, making the technology accessible to more people.
That's important for wider adoption. So, okay, we have factory fit and aftermarket solutions. Let's zoom out again. Big picture drivers pushing this whole market forward.
Okay, the main drivers are pretty clear. First, just that overall growing demand from consumers for all kinds of advanced safety features. Safety is a major selling point now.
More than ever before, it feels like.
Absolutely.
Right.
Second, and this is probably the biggest specific driver for ROAS, is that increased awareness, really understanding of the dangers, the tragedies associated with leaving occupants, especially children, in hot cars.
Yeah, the awareness campaigns and news coverage have been significant.
Hugely significant. And third, just the simple fact that global vehicle production is increasing. More cars being built means more potential vehicles to equip with these systems.
Okay, demand for safety, awareness of the specific risk, and more cars overall. What about things holding it back? Any restraints?
Yeah, there are a couple of main ones. Cost is definitely a factor.
Integrating the tech adds cost for the manufacturer.
It does, especially the more sophisticated systems with radar or cameras. That cost can be passed on to the consumer, making it a barrier, particularly for entry-level vehicles or in more price-sensitive markets.
Right.
And the other restraint is just, well, a certain amount of consumer hesitation that often comes with new technology.
Like, do I really need this? Is it going to be annoying?
Exactly. Some people might see it as unnecessary complexity or worry about false alarms, things like that. Overcoming that hesitancy takes time and proof of reliability.
Understandable challenges. Cost and user acceptance. But the growth numbers suggest the drivers are winning out. What other trends are shaping this?
Well, one related trend is the growing demand for premium vehicles globally.
And those tend to have more features standard.
Precisely. Premium cars often debut new safety tech, including ROAS, which helps normalize it and drives adoption down the line, and then just the continuous technological advancement.
And sensors and AI.
Exactly. Sensors get cheaper, smaller, more accurate. AI helps interpret the data better, reducing false alarms and increasing reliability. That makes the systems more effective and more appealing. We might also see more regulatory pushes in different parts of the world.
Right, regulations could accelerate things further. So it's tech progress, consumer pull, maybe some regulatory push. What about the companies making these systems? Who are the key players?
It's a competitive space, as you'd expect. You've got a mix of big, established global automotive suppliers and some smaller, perhaps more specialized regional companies.
Any big names that stand out in the report?
Yeah, the report mentions several key players like Aisin Seiki, Borg-Warner, Continental AG, Denso Corporation. These are giants in the auto supply world.
Okay, familiar names.
Right. And they tend to dominate because they have extensive product portfolios, huge distribution networks dealing directly with the car makers, and they invest heavily in R&D and innovation to stay ahead.
So the incumbents have a strong position.
They do, but there's likely room for smaller, innovative companies too, maybe focusing on a specific niche technology or sensor type.
Interesting. The report also mentions some broader industry news like Mazda, Toyota, Subaru working on new engines for electrification, and a potential Honda EV plant in Canada. How does that connect?
Well, it's not directly about ROAS, but it paints a picture of the broader context. The engine collaboration, for instance, shows this massive focus on powertrain innovation and integrating complex systems, combustion, electric motors, batteries.
A systems integration mindset.
Exactly. And that kind of thinking, that capability to integrate complex electronics and software, definitely benefits the implementation of advanced safety systems like ROAS too. It becomes part of that integrated vehicle architecture.
Okay, so advancements in one area can enable others.
Right. And the Honda EV investment news highlights the big push towards electrification and advanced manufacturing, particularly in North America. As the EV market grows, it creates whole new vehicle platforms.
And opportunities to build in safety tech from the ground up.
Precisely. It's easier to integrate systems like ROAS seamlessly into a new EV platform design, potentially making them standard features more readily. It shows where the industry investment is going.
That makes sense. It's all interconnected. Okay, let's try to wrap this up. If we boil down this deep dive, what are the absolute key takeaways on the ROAS market?
Okay, I'd say three main things. First, the market is growing significantly. Seriously growing, from over $2 billion in 2025 to almost $7 billion by 2033. That 15.8% CAGR is the headline number.
Right, big growth.
Second, regional differences are important. North America leads now, Europe is strong too, but Asia-Pacific, particularly countries like India and China, is where the fastest growth is happening. That 18.7% APAC CAGR is huge.
Okay, regional dynamics matter.
And third, the why. It's driven primarily by that crucial increase in safety awareness, especially around the dangers of hot cars, coupled with ongoing tech improvements in sensors and AI, and potentially more regulations coming down the pike.
Awareness, tech, and regulation.
Yep.
Got it. So the real aha moment here is probably just the sheer scale of this shift.
Yeah, so.
ROAS isn't just some niche gadget anymore. It's rapidly becoming a core part of vehicle safety expectations globally, reflected in that massive projected market value.
Absolutely. This deep dive really gives you a solid handle on a major trend in automotive safety, moving beyond just surviving a crash to proactively preventing incidents before they happen.
Yeah, it really makes you think, doesn't it? With sensors and AI advancing so quickly, driven partly by needs like ROAS, what's next? What other proactive safety features could become standard in the next 10 years, building on this foundation?
That's a great question to ponder.
Definitely something for you to think about. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.